Good morning. Wake up. Digital audience also. Good morning. We have two, like one camera and a live audience, so it's a little bit dilemma where to look. But let's try both. I really would like to do a very short, very fast presentation. Material much more bigger than I could put in this moment, but as we agreed with Anna Maria, it's open presentation. So if you have question, you immediately ask, because we could talk from different perspective about all these cases that I will present you now. So generally, my plan is next. I would like you to tell a very short our story, how the theater, which never was digital and even don't know about it anything, in 2 years become a really digital develop a real digital strategy and in some way make a digital revolution in Ukraine. So this is our story. Based on it, all these things that I will present is just prototypes. Some of them become a final product, and some of them then was reached audience, digital audience, physical audience, all simultaneously. Some of them also was trying to make a business approach to digital theater. All the things we could discuss. Also, as a curator of the festival, I did the first big digital showcase of Ukrainian theater as a prototype, because one of the idea was that if theater will not able again to move between countries, what to do, how continue to do theater festival as international platform when you can't really exchange. So this is again, this is a lot of elements of our strategy, and digitalization was appeared only at the end of 2020, and then we describe a problem, what we are looking for. So the first, it was the impossibility of physical realization of artistic events in particular theater. So we as a theater, we understand that we can't deal our main activities. Audience can't come to us. Theater, it's always when people stay together in one space simultaneously in one time. And we understand that it is impossible in COVID period. Second, all of us was fear of technique and technology. Lack of experience and skills in using modern technology, application devices for the implementation of the theater projects. It was a strange situation because each of us each day use it in a different way. But when we talk about art, about more serious projects, you immediately, all your team afraid, how, why, for what, etc. And the third, it's the inability to physical reach the audience. So this situation when you really can't meet with your audience, make in some way question what the sense of the theater. If you can't work with eyes of the audience, with emotion, with discussion, etc. This is something that was very serious for us because we, a small independent theater, it means that if we stop our activities, our institutions stop exist. We lose the team, we lose possibility for development, and who knows what happened after. And then we identify our goal, that we would like to find digital solution for culture theater products. That's all. So what I will tell you, it's only about theater industry. It's only about how with theater consciousness, we try to adapt and honestly try to survive. And maybe this energy of surviving push us to some new development for some risk project and receive this result. So what we focused? First step, we create a Google Fest-based laboratory to find digital solution for art project. Second, it was formation a new type of connection and communication between audience and theater culture product. So this second step, it's about if you can't meet physically, what type of connection you could do digitally, what it means, which nature, what change in behavior of your promotion department, of your actors, and at the same time, how audience access it. How they identify it, all these things are necessary to be discussed and find a solution for it. The third was integrate audience into the direct creation and participation of digital projects. So it means that we try to propose audience a new possibility to influence on the process, to influence on discussions, and to make a new bridge, a new type of connection between creators and acceptors. And the fourth is creating technology for international theater collaboration in digital dimension. So we try to do a very simple schemes, which could be repeat, which could be multiply, which means non-expensive tools. It's something that you could easily implement in your theater activities and receive a result. Which result? This creative part absolutely on your side. The question only that we found simple solution how you could do first steps in digitalization of your theater. Now you see not all but a part of the projects which were created during this period of adventure in digitality, and all these projects was a prototype and answer on some question. So each this project has a different elements what we are looking for. But together, when we combine all these projects in one system, we receive the synergy effect of digitalization of the theater. And then when I talk about the digitalization, I don't talk only about creative part. So in our case, it means that we create a new cultural projects in a digital dimension. But at the same time, all our promotion, all our interface approaches changed. All our, let's say, selling approaches change. All of our cast change and technician team changed. All these things were connected and was under influence on this digitalization process. And today we will jump in few of these examples just to show you the logic and the connection between how it was in past and what we have now. How in war circumstances, in new impacts, in new crisis situation, we still could use this experience, this background to survive now as institution, as team, etc. So here I evaluate three main line for strategies that you could use when you implement in your culture institution, especially if you talk about theater. So first, it's online adaptation for offline product. What it means? It means that if you have offline physical content and you would like to have a new life for this content in situation when you can't present physically, you should find a digital solution for this content. It's very simple. And then this research of how physical content could become digital, this is the main point. In this part, we could talk about simple streams. When you just put cameras, 1, 5, 3, how much you could have different position to film your performance, for example, and then it's alive or after you make montage and published it as a record streaming. This logic here. Second, it's a digital online project built specially to exist in a digital space. It means that we forget everything about offline and we just look on digital capacities, and our starting point is to create from zero position a new idea in this digital dimension. And for example, Zoom's theater appeared in this area. And the third is digital product that is created with the express strategy for later bringing it on offline. What it means? It means that, for example, you create digital project in digital dimension, and then normal life return. What you will do with this? You could continue to do digital, but also you always have this capacity to return it to physical world. And honestly, finally, you could find option that these two products could coexist. They could have a hybrid format and exist simultaneously in offline and online. That's why my basic position, I never try to build conflict between offline theater and online, because I think it's conflict, let's say, in our minds. Offline theater, it's clear, it's main theater. It's something that, as I say, it's the law. You have actors, you have audience in one space, in one time. So this is the basic law for any performing art performance, stage performance. But when we talk about digital theater, it means that we open a new door to adventure, to find a new formats, which also could be a theater, but it's not like alternative, only one solution for physical theater. It's just something new, which could find its own road for its own audience. And it's from this position, it has the right to be live and to be discovered. And this is this energy, what we try to do. We don't try to explain our audience and say all our pains that, sorry, we can't invite you now to our house, we can't perform, but please look to it, etc. No, we were honest with them. We explained them what we are looking for, how they could identify in this new reality and audience. We very important ask them to make feedbacks on each bad and good, etc. And all this was collective efforts. And that's why I think this story finally happened. Due to our strategy, we have three phases. First phases, it was creation a first block of prototypes. Some of them we will look today. Second phase, it was, we called it a creation of digital repertoire. So the quantity of these prototypes was enough to go to a new level, which we call digital repertoire. Digital repertoire, it means that you, in your arsenal of the theater, has approximately 5-10 new cultural product in digital, which could be packed, which could be promoted, which could be presented and repeat. It's important that all things that you've done could be repeatable. Otherwise, you can't build a system. Also, we add through all these products educational part, degustation part. So we always invite audience to test and together to identify which experience we receive together. And number three, it's phase in which we now, honestly now, it's now phase 4, because walking, but phase 3 was when we return from COVID period to a normal situation, but we change. Our experience changed, our approach is changed, and we can't continue to do the same shows how we did it earlier. So all our production become more multidisciplinary, more complicated, more audio, video combined. All our artists was very good to work after this school of digital acting with cameras, with smartphones, with tablet. It's a very good connection on emotional level became between technical team and artistic team, because very often it's like two different worlds. But now they were very close, ready to work together. And the main focus is trying to find a new digital alphabet, so a new language with the new tools how to create theater. And it's simple but complicated simultaneously. So we don't talk about something against the classical way of doing theater. We just say that it's also possible to create something new. And who interested in it? he or she always could open this door. And the second, it's this concept that all your gadgets, it's your stage. So it means the theater easily go from the buildings, from ready infrastructure. It means that theater as outside or site specific could happen with you everywhere. And not always you should be professional artist or professional cameraman, etc. So it's really a story about accessibility. So first project that we did, it's a big international flash mob, which called Alambari. The key point of this was that first, the duration of this flash mob, formally, it was 12 minutes, but practically the duration was 1 month and a half. So each Sunday, we did this international flash mob. The interesting part that people from all over the world really joined to it. Now you see part of the examples, and all these points, it means that it was minimum one person who in one time joined to Zoom to do practically this activity. And you see that America, South America, Africa, Europe, some Asian part, you have different time slots. And if you have, for example, middle day, somewhere it's night or morning. And it was amazing feeling, because people really, from one side, they stay in their rooms alone, independently, but at the same time, all of us identify itself like we could coexist together in this digital space. So first international flash mob in some way was very naive, very simple icons, but at the same time, it was about value. What means to be together in the circumstances when you can't be together, and what means that you have this geographic big distance, but still you could be connected. Technologically, it was very simple approaches. You see here, each time we make it bigger, 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 but practically you have conference. Conference means one laptop. So how much conferences you would like to have simultaneously, where it depends how much laptops you could put on table. Then there are one main laptop with a special program VMix. It's a program for streaming, mostly partly for montage, for VJing, but streaming is the first function. And in this laptop, we connect all other conferences. And the interface for audience was YouTube and Facebook. So we don't invite, in this case, audience to our Zoom conference. We make a stream exactly to different Facebook pages and YouTube. And it also was a synergy, because we connect different national media, etc. So it was big digital window where people could find. And also we invite people to look it through a laptop, tablet, smartphone, just to experience what's the difference for them, on which screen they look, with which sound, etc. Here you see it was, what's important? Important also that maximum in one conference.
I forgot to share the screen just now.
Okay. Okay. It's always happened.
Yeah.
We forgot something. Okay. Yes, now everyone see. So I just jump. Yeah, let's start from here. So yes. This. Okay. So we see it again. Important part. In each conference, we have maximum 12 persons. Why? Because to observe it even on smartphone, we understand that this is the maximum which are good for your eye to see. If you make more, it's become a very little squares, and you lose the meaning what's happening in it. So 12, it was a good solution. At the same time, when we have more and more conferences, it also was a question what to deal in a streaming with them, because what I talk about, it's not only how we see standard how you see a standard conference, you see squares, you see people, that's all. But what to do when you have few conferences? You horizontally, you start to move. So you jump from one conference to another conference, and you all the time see different groups. It's one possibility. Second possibility, it when you could see all conferences simultaneously. So you see 100 squares. Of course, you didn't see exactly what's happening in it, but you see the scale. And number three, what we use in montage, it's microscope optic. When you see one person very close, like you could see some detail of the body or some elements. So this is example when you have a lot of people, now even more than 12. And they do simultaneously one performance based on the scenery that we developed. Here you see a diploma. We receive it. It's strange, but still, as a real record, first digital record based on geography, on duration, on number of participants, on number of countries. So it's happened. It's happened. No one believed in it, but it's happened. Honestly, to be true, artist first was very not optimistic. Opposite. Yeah, why we do it, what we do it, etc. And the second is interesting moment that we have in participants sometimes big institutions like Volksbühne Theater from Germany, and some absolutely independent countries and single persons. So in promotion, we split these two channels, and me as curator work more with finding group institution, but also it was on web page registration, and everyone could just join to these conferences. And maybe I jump again to nowadays, but you check is
stop sharing first.
Yes, first I stop sharing. Wait a minute. Yes. Okay. Second, I go to browser. It's
here. It's here.
yeah.
No, it's not here.
Not here. Which browser you use? Okay, I know. I know.
It's here in the minus image.
Okay, it's open a minute. It's okay.
Share.
And now we share again. Sorry, I still discover digitality. Yeah, but it's very dependent on which laptop you.
Really?
Okay. And now I jump to nowadays, because for me, I would like to show this link. Yeah, this first story you see, it was big. It received result. It was really the first prototype. It absolutely was done without real money, but from our side, it was like also investment in promotion. We tried to popularize digital thinking of art in Ukraine. Now, if you go to last year, one of the partners who participated in this flash mob started her own story. She is from Switzerland. She has an independent company, Diki Dushi. It's Madeleine Bondard. We invite her several times to Ukraine, also to Mariupol, to do different activities, residency, production, etc. And what's interesting, from the beginning of the war, so from 24 February, each day she started to do her own flash mob. It's called Dance with Ukraine, Artists Presence in Resistance. This web page still continue development, because the main point that finally we will do a library of this digital flash mob, but the content is too big, and due to general obstacles we are not able to react fast. But the story that people also from different parts of the world each day united in Zoom, and based on different musics from Ukraine, they do art, and it's different art. You could join and just look, or you could dance, you could move, you could paint, you could play with puppet, etc. So it's not so about art people, it's about, like, through different art people could be united, even if you are not professional in it. And it's developed very simple steps, so how it works, how you could join, etc. And now then we start develop this library. So you could go in it and see each day, listen to music, and then discussion. And of course, there are some situations when people from Ukraine, they from shelter, or you hear a really record sirens from the street, etc. It's here. So for as let's say I try to evaluate this international flash mob was creation of artifact of digitality, who we are in that moment. That was how we identify itself. This is artifact of war. So in this digital world, we try to fix at the same time stories, but also it's representing solidarity, that people absolutely free to join and to do this connection. Another story, I also now jump again to presentation. Another, I stopped sharing already. I open presentation, and then yes, so I very understand. Okay, yes.
It's okay.
Yeah. Now it works. Okay, so to finish with this international flash mob and Zoom story, I just would like to make arch connection. So this is we miss for now. So then one of the big Zoom format that we did, it was Zoom serial. So it was like 2 months storytelling in Zoom conferences as a theater, but theater which done as a serial. You have the same word, yes. And this was very interesting moment, because finally from this serial we also make a final big Zoom theater production, which duration 2 hours 30 minutes, and it was presented in Europe on big festival. It was also subtitled, which is very important in Zoom. It was a big problem how subtitle text, especially when it is fast, when it is big sentences. I mean, already done play, not when you fix it, what people tell shortly. This function was from the beginning. Here you see how we try to build some business model. Yeah, with a different type of ticket. And I will show now you this web page, which represent the logic for audience. This. It's also in English, luckily. We don't all have in English, but it wasn't. We share, right? Okay, great. So yes, English version. So, yes, this is Zoom time, digital theater serial. Very important in our case, this performance exists before. It was something that we did premiere exactly before COVID came. And this was very fresh material, and people, artists also planned continue it, would like to continue it. And that's why we think that it's wonderful, could be adapted. And one of the recommendations that I could do, it's if you work with a Zoom theater, you always should think which kind of material could exist in these circumstances. I mean, we don't try to manipulate with the fact and to say, try to show audience that it is not Zoom. We adapt everything, and people from the beginning come also to the conference, and something happened in the frame of the conference. So it was this way story building. The rest icons situation, it's something that goes on your creative part, but this is the basic things of trust for people. It's very important to give them this key. So the main promotion was like live acting, live viewing. So everything that I tell you today and I will show later, it's connected that we can't perform physically together, but we still could be in one time together with audience. So this basic value, we continue saying. Why it's theater? Because we simultaneously with you together look on it. And communicate with it. And then you see now Zoom theater, a real conference. Yeah. And this is how audience could accept it. The cheapest price was you join to YouTube and just look as a passive audience. It's a standard procedure. More expensive, but also I talk about democratic price. You join in Zoom. You have capacity also to talk, to ask a question after with creators. You also could be in some moment, you could be a part of the scene. So now, for example, people flexible, they could switch off camera, switch on. Of course, when it is show, everyone switch on camera, but we still leave some zones where audience become a part, let's say, of activity. And it was interesting. And VAP, it was more about to support the theater in this research. So we just create this VAP like abonnement for all series, etc. And what we identify and what wasn't clear from the beginning, audience which start to come, we don't expect it, but they really started to become from different parts of the world. Our idea was that, okay, it's our audience, our usual audience that usually come to us to the theater. So we try to keep this connection. And suddenly we identified that people, even some of them, of course, we know they somewhere in Europe, for example, and they join. Then we understand that circle become bigger and a lot of people from diaspora start joining. And then finally we understand that the circles really need another type of thinking for you. You need to build a promotion without this limitation itself, like who could join to it. You really could, because it was done in Ukrainian Russian language. So it means that as minimum, these people who speak could be audience of it. And it's bigger than only in our country, of course. It's first. Second, we implement a new format of discussion, which we called Zoom Salon, where really different people could discuss. And sometimes we invite, let's say, celebrities like ambassadors of Ukraine somewhere, or some famous directors or from film industry, etc. So someone who could be interested also to ask the question and interesting to hear his or her comment. And these Zoom salons become also the very important part of Zoom theater. So it's not only was a presentation, it also was about exchange, about how to build dialogue in Zoom. And it's very interesting, but you see people in the home circumstances, sometimes lay in sofa with drinks, everyone's super comfortable, and it's but at the same time you could talk on very complicated questions, and it works. And this is what we test in this Zoom story. Now we jump again to the presentation. This. Okay. And maybe, so concerning Zoom theater, I could tell again more. It's just one of the examples that appeared as a big project. Yeah. So from my point of view, Zoom theater has perspective. It could be adapted absolutely different way. It could be implemented also in the live shows. But also it has its own aesthetic, which if you write in a meaning, in a content, in the story, for people it works. Yes, maybe it's not big audience quantity. It's also depends how much, which account you have and how much you could invite. You know, Zoom has different like business account, etc. All these things we thought here. Which account we need, which internet we need, capacity to host, for example, simultaneously 100 audience, and to be guaranteed them that they pay money and not go out from the conference. So this story works. Now I just run through it just to show you another thinking. Here you see it's a big festival which planned to happen in Germany with Eastern European theaters, but it's not happened because COVID. But finally happened as a digital big festival. And it was interesting situation because we developed a structure in which, imagine each theater invite its own audience in their space. They connected to the core space. And at the same time, here could happen a different performing art which streamed in the main location, and opposite it streamed here. So it was, let's say, physical and digital festival simultaneously. And due to countries, it was very interesting to work with different culture background and to find the topics and adaptation which work for all this audience. Then this is the moment when we start to we go from online to offline, and part of the material that we already done, we understand that it could easily be adapted as an audiovisual exhibition and installation. And it works. It works in different areas. And honestly, it works even for now, but with another topic. We create an exhibition which called Zero Tolerance, and now we travel with it in different countries. But practically, just one of the examples how we adapt it. So you have some quantity of video beamers. You have a sound, you could have different quantity of laptop. You have a special, it's called splitter connected between this laptop. And then you could work with all dimension of the space, ceiling, floor, walls, and create your environment. And now I gave you example of passive when you have already done audio video content and you just do exhibition. But later we went further and we did live. So artists, for example, came in this room, and artists could create this environment with different tools. So it was again, it's very simple tools. So it's not something that you can't understand how it works. But at the same time, a new combination of these tools creating new opportunities. This is also very interesting moment because audience during this performance should sit like this. It was combination between fashion and performing art. The concept was, I will show you here. The concept was that visual art artist from Swiss. She was in her workspace. She were connected to us. We built for her a huge white scenography, and she during the performance painted it. So when people come, they see absolutely white area, and then step by step, visuals appeared. At the same time, it was two models and a special collection which were developed for this presentation, and she painted also them. You see some moments, and these people who stay near, they also work with streaming, and one person was responsible to show to artists what's happening in a more detailed. Another work with a picture which go to digital. And why audience sit like this? Because we parallel stream, and we did, let's say, a special geometry adaptation of this project to stream format. And when you see, you like have two puzzles connected. So that's why it was first time when we really push audience, try to feel how it and to build in their mind their own performance based on different elements that we developed. More bigger story we did later as a big production. You see here where all artists perform with it, audience sit with it, and it also was built like Zoom aesthetic and stream aesthetic adapt on stage. And finally, let's jump to it. This is another approach which I would like to finish today, this marathon presentation. It's a combination, first, this project called Book Digital Degustation. It was combination of visual art and performing art. And it's very interesting for me project because it starts with a very simple story in Zoom and finished with a very complicated cartoon development. But I can't do a complicated cartoon without this experience. So for me, it's also a very strong link between this digital experience and then a new option what you could do when you have this experience. So let's jump again in this. Okay, this. It's only on Ukrainian because it was done based on Ukrainian literature. And we work with a contemporary Ukrainian literature, with classic literature, and with a tale as a special focus. But honestly, it could be done everywhere with different language. Finally, it's happened, but this webpage was developed in this. And the main aim was to create audiovisual podcast. Then people could just have it in their smartphone and hear or look as they wish. Not only record for the podcast, but also first experience, let's say it's very representative in the point how was simple technology and how then it becomes more complicated. Let's, for example, look, I don't know, let's look here. Okay, it's first. Yeah, maybe let's. Yeah. I remember sharing. Wait a moment. I share. Okay, so I will show you one of the first, and then one of the last. For example, this is was done on Christmas fairy tale. Yeah, so we have the same artist. We have live visuals, and we have special sound that we also. And it was. So it means that on distance, the artist stay in one room, visual artist somewhere in Europe or in Ukraine, and we also could be with artists or somewhere on distance. We connected in Zoom and make this simultaneous action that create this story. Practically, it looks like this.
Взялися за руки і почали танцювати довкола ялинки. Вони підстрибували, співали, підстрибували, співали.
So it's fairy tale, yeah. Then we work on different topic, etc. But finally, we did a very interesting, more complicated story. It's go and I will explain you. This is.
Володимир В'ятрович, Жаложила Ріта Кіндлерова. Українське 20 столетті. Утайоване деїни. Сказа слова. Вночі на 12 квітня 1933 се заставив Антон недалеко Великого
In studio we record artists in different language, build a story, and then make the special montage with in collage technique, with live animation, live footage, and acting. And here you will see absolutely different aesthetic, how it could work. It's really.
Nachdem die ganze Woche über seine gesetzlich vorgeschriebene anders. Gestern hatte von seinem Chef nach der Arbeit nach Hause gegangen und hatte sich nüchtern. Jetzt kam die Türcode. Allzu schwer konnte es ja nicht sein, da die Firmen die codegesicherte Türe einbauten, sich auf 2 Codes.
It's in Germany.
Serhis zweiter Versuch klappte.
And in Poland,
mam ochotę po prostu sobie pójść. To przerażające. Niezależnie od flagi wzniesionej nad miastem. A jeszcze czuję zapach, którego te kobiety w ogóle nie mieli skąd wziąć. To tamci gości, którzy naprawdę może mieli w swoich szafach po kilka wieczorowych sukien.
It was. And now I would like to show you, let's say, it's a small premiere, because this cartoon will be presented a little bit late on Zagreb Animation Festival officially, but we do it exclusively for you. This cartoon, first, let's say like this. So I already explained you the link. Yeah, we can't do this without the digital experience. And you see, the first step was really very simple and very naive. Second, it's now we have Go and of course all our art connected with it. And we try to find in which way we could work with it. And in this moment appear our resistant front and all of activities connected with this. Third, yesterday was anniversary of Bomb Theater in Mariupol. It's exactly 16th of March. It was a moment when this state building was bombed. And this cartoon is dedicated to Mariupol, and I produce it because I understand that we need something to have, but we can't do, for example, documentary film or action film. It's not the moment, and it's very complicated to do this in these circumstances. But animation in some way could give you some feeling and some impression to understand what's happening. And this cartoon, it's something that we develop especially for such type events. We show it only on close events or for a big film or cartoon festival. This is our tools in this war for this platform.
So I missed the first part of the I was completely lost walking around trying to find it. But and I'm so sorry because I'm following Ukraine every day in the news. It's been about a year since my And so you're based in Kyiv?
Me personally, yes.
You probably explained this, but how are you managing?
24 February, I was in train to Mariupol, and because last 5 years we did a lot of big projects like festival. We also developed strategy for culture 2030 for the city. Several huge site-specific events. First cultural train we also did to Mariupol, but of course everything stopped. The reason why I was in training, it was official opening of multidisciplinary center, which revitalized from it's like a house of culture in the Soviet Union. And one of the house of culture was experimentally transformed through different culture projects to a contemporary center. And digital story also connected with the center because, as I say at the beginning, first digital showcase we did exactly in this house in Mariupol. Now you saw in cartoon one of the building. It was this. That's why we added also. But then Mariupol totally occupied, and now it's under Russia. We know what's happening there. Especially with the culture, it's but also another part what I would like to say, already in Ukraine start initiative of discussion what will happen when Mariupol will come, and what culture could do. Even yesterday, 2 days ago when I arrived, I was in Zoom from here in this public discussion from theater part, like what we have and what with theater we could do for this. And me personally, I also work now with Mariupol refugees artists who stay in Kyiv. We did a production based on their real experience of staying 2 months 200 meters from this big theater and in the basement of the Philharmonic. And we did a play and then a performance where they tell the story of surviving. So very, I mean, very concrete. And it is strange, but I all the time connect with this. Even in this performance, we use digitality because all visual elements was real elements. I mean, photo were done one of the artists who stay between this group. So his photo becomes scenography. Then we animate this photo partly. Then one visual artist could do gravures. He make a big cycle of series of gravure. We also use it in performance. And number third, it's a girl, young girl. She's painter. She do live portraits of artists during their monologues. So this happened, and now I work on translation of this play in English and then looking where it's possible to be presented. And another part, we have a web page maybe I will show it here, if possible. Mariupol Life, it's called. It's something that I did after return to the Kiev. Mariupol Life. It's part of our story. It was a landing. Yes. Sorry. I just now connect all things. So this web page was done immediately just to have a fast understanding of what's happening, where Mariupol on map. You see in the center, it's this house where we did all festival and work on revitalization. It's also bombed totally. And then I focus, I understand that I can't help everyone, it's impossible. And I focus to bring children with whom we work to help them. That's why this webpage was focused on this task. And I initiate a coalition of directors who came early to Mariupol to the festival and did residency program there. So, for example, this Madeleine Bongard, you see, I tell her about her today. Evan Kosmidis, he was from Greece. Josie Dale-Jones, she's from Great Britain. Christine Disman from Germany. Anton Telbizov, he was in Mariupol, and luckily he was abroad on the holiday, and now he's a refugee staying in Hanover. Me, and this is, let's say, this is what we did before. We tried to make links, a cultural bridge between Mariupol and different cities in the world, and this map represented. And productions which was done before full-scale invasion, and this production planned to be a new repertoire of this house. And now I try to use all these culture projects as a tools to help these children to be united, because they split it. Some of them deported to Russia, some of them still on occupied territory, some of them in Ukraine, some of them in Europe. And last December, we did finally art space festival in Berlin, where we were able to bring part of them.
Wow.
Not all, but part, and rebuild this performance. And what's interesting, this Hotel Continental, Art Space in Exile, it's open in Berlin as a memory to the Hotel Continental in art space in Mariupol. You see now a fragment of this building. It's also startup without any financing. It's some initiative that we did with people who were in Mariupol as artists before. And even this cartoon was produced also. And we did this festival, Mariupol City of Hope, where partly this program were presented in a memory, but at the same time with asking what we could do together in future. So in some way, this Artifacts of Zero, in some way we try, all these examples, we try to keep this energy, even if it is just one fire. But we keep it because I believe that finally, yes, Mariupol will become again Ukrainian. All people will able return, and especially artists could lead this process with a new experience, new skill, new background, to rebuild the city. And the basic discussion that we have now in society is culture and memory. So how to work with this, what for example should be on this place where bomb theater, what you can't build a new theater, but what you could do there, yeah? What to do with Azovstali, a huge factory, which first was a big, let's say, economical, ecological dilemma, but then become a last resistant space and gave time for whole Ukraine to be prepared. So due to context, things very changed. So we will work on this now.
It sounds to me like you had great momentum and support up until the war. Is that right?
We had,
Yeah. And
yes.
so that energy, it wasn't like a scene that was struggling, it was a scene that was really catching its own stride, right? And that energy's just gotten spread.
Yes, but for me, why I link in the main title COVID and war, it's in some way I understand when I came here, and I think what I would like to say, I understand that all the story are really connected with one word: survive. In the COVID, we try to survive. It's honest, because we lose all capacity to continue. We lose big festivals, etc. It was surviving real. Now we also continue to survive. Surviving not means victim only. Yeah, surviving also means which kind of strength you could find itself, and especially for me, it's also a story about partnership, because we can't do all things that we do now without all partners around. And from last year till now, we did more than 300 different scale events through all over the world. I mean Europe, I mean Canada, USA, UK, Georgia. It's happened, but it can't happen without partners. Yeah. So for me, it's also an amazing story of solidarity and representing. From our side, we try to use each possibility to save, and it's also one of the reasons why I came here. Yeah, not only about digitally, but also to link this topic. But at the same time, how a lot of people through all over the world really has the same value, and how easily we could lose our future because of something.
Thank you, Andrii. We have to close the session now. Thank you for coming, and have a safe trip back home now.
Thank you.